Hello, welcome to my show, Mayra's Surgical Tech Show. Today we are going to be covering asepsis. Asepsis, there's two classes of asepsis, medical and surgical. Medical means any practice that helps reduce the number of spread of microorganisms. Surgical is the complete removal of microorganisms and their spores from the surface of an object. There's also principle of asepsis, which we're going to be covering today. But first of all, here's an example of principle of asepsis. Alrighty, Mr. O, can you give us an example of principle of asepsis, please?
One of the biggest principles that I believe is the principles of keeping microorganisms to a reducible minimum. We don't want to contaminate, we want to keep stuff sterile. So we make sure we keep sterile away from unsterile. We have parameters like 12 to 18 inches away from the wall. You yourself are an unsterile object, so you don't want to be close. So I'd say you also keep that 12 to 18 inches away from sterility.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay, here we are with Mr. M. Can you please give us an example of to keep ourselves sterile, please?
One thing you do not want to do is drop your hands.
Oops. Contaminated. Oops. Contaminated. Oops. Contaminated.
Yeah, you are contaminated. So what would you do in that case, Mr. M?
In this case, we'll have our circulator open us a sleeve. And we're just like new.
Alrighty, awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll go for the next question. Alright, thank you, Mr. M, for that example. Also, I'm going to go ahead and be speaking to Mrs. Flanagan. She's been in the field for a long time, and I'm going to ask her a question. It's a very important question. And what's the most important thing as a surgical tech to her regarding asepsis? So here we go with Mrs. Flanagan. Okay, here we're Mrs. Flanagan, Mr. O, and Mr. M. Mrs. Flanagan, what's the most important thing to you as a surg tech inside the OR regarding asepsis?
Okay, as a surg tech in the OR regarding asepsis, the number one most important thing would be a surgical conscience, because that revolves around the patient putting their trust in you that you're going to do the right thing regardless if anybody's watching. And that will make sure that you're operating in the best principles with asepsis and with the team. So surgical conscience, they need to trust you whether anybody's looking.
That's great. And you guys want to add anything?
I feel teamwork is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is another added addition to that. As long as everybody's on the same page, out for the main interest of the patient, again, that all comes down to the same
Mr. O?
Sterility is king. Making sure you're taking care of, or queen, you're taking care of the patient, making sure they don't get infected, so they outrun everybody's.
Alrighty, thank you so much. And alrighty guys, well I'm going to show you a video and I want you guys to observe and tell me if they're using in that OR a sterile technique or asepsis. Tell me what's wrong with it. I want you guys to observe what's wrong with this video. Careful. Okay, proceed. Looks good. Nice back retraction. Can we get some music going in here? Kind of quiet. Instructions. Thank you. I'll take the next back. Good job. This is called the I got carried away. Got carried away with that music. Sorry about that. But anyway, you see, that is not an example of keeping in a sterile OR. So, wearing proper gear is very important, or attire. Attire is very important in the OR. The wearing of surgical mask, is this, and safety eyewear to protect the mucous membranes of the eyes, nose, mouth during procedures in which it may splash to your eyes. So it is very important.